Hi guys, welcome back to VenterAdventurers, and this is Folklore Fridays. Sorry about last week, due to some unforeseen circumstances to do with our family, we couldn't film. But without further ado, let's go into what we're talking about this week. This week we're going to have a brief overview of Woodland Spirits. We can break them down further in future videos. We've got a few ideas to go out to the woods and talk about. But we're going to talk about some things I think about the woods and my experiences, just for a quick video because we're still quite busy at the moment, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can with the full-length videos. Let's start off with what we're talking about today, and that's forests. So forests are woodland, large areas of woodland or small areas of woodland. We have a forest on the corner. It doesn't have to be big, but it's got to be a woodland of trees, so a bunch of trees together. If you see anything in the video, if there's some random cut, it's because I've set myself on fire. It's a bit of a lot of flames at the moment, but want to stay warm, get the fire up, so my own fault if it happens. But yeah, so that's what forests are. A lot of our folklore throughout history, in the British Isles, Slavic folklore, and across the world, anywhere with trees and forests has been very attuned with forests. They've had a special part of our nature. From Native Americans, with most of the legends like the Skinwalker and the Wendigo, all come from being deep into the woods and away from civilization. From the leshies of Slavic myth, folklore, which we'll talk about later, to like fairies, to Askgrass of Swedish myth. A lot of our folklore revolves around forests because they hold spiritual sides to us. Because they're dark, we don't know what's in there. It could be completely empty, it could be quiet, we don't know what's in there. And it's, again, as we talk about a lot in this, it's the unknown. Forest, we can't see anything, so there could be so much in the forest we don't know about. That goes into our first one of the day, which is a leshi, or protectors of the forest. These come from Slavic and Russian folklore, which are spirits which protect forests. And how they do that is anyone who enters the forests without their permission or without giving them an offering will disappear. They'll hear voices deep in the forest they will go after to find, or they'll just lose their way randomly and they will never be seen of again. There's many stories with these leshis. They've even made it into games. So if any of you played The Witcher, the leshen is based off the leshi. Slightly different obviously, but the leshis are woodland guardians. They protect the forests, as we've just said, but most of all, they're the lord of the forest. All the animals of the forest are their subjects. So if you want to kill an animal, you want to take wood from their forest, you must leave an offering of milk or bread to the spirits, and accept, as I'm taken from you, I give back. Whereas this is ripped into, I think personally, it's more into respect in the forest, like give and take. You take something from the forest, you give back. Like the Native Americans, there's a trick Native Americans are taught, and I'm seeing a lot of survival shows, you see it. If they find a plant, they'll leave that. They'll leave the first 5, and then the 6th plant they'll take from, because it means they have more resource, and they're not taken too far. That's the key thing with a lot of these folklore stuff, is you don't want to take too much from the animals and then from the forest. You must give back and be quiet and help and respect it, respect nature. That's where the leshi folklore comes a lot from. It's a respect of nature and yourself, and not going too far, because that's where a lot of these come into, especially leshis and stuff. That's their domain. Don't go too far in the forest if you don't need to. You might get lost. And that's where a lot of this comes from, is not going too far and not overextending yourself, not taking advantage of the forest, never going too far. But I'll talk a bit more into my side of thinking of it later on. Let's go into our next one. The next one is Askgrass. Sorry, I just have to look at Askgrass. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. This is a female woodland spirit of the forest who lures men into the forest. They're usually friendly temperament, so you could probably say they're more benevolent than malevolent. But if you follow them, you're not going to come back out. so you need to be very careful. But if you treat it right and you respect the forest, you can be given good luck. So some hunters will deliberately find these so they can get given good luck in their hunts. It's a very large myth in Sweden because size they are, they're basically small spirits of female shape who are supposed to be beautiful but friendly at the same time. So there's a lot of little bits in there about temptation, about if you treat it right you get rewarded, don't follow voices, and it falls back into some stuff we've covered before in Skinwalkers. Skinwalkers, a lot of the videos, actually we haven't talked about them yet, we'll talk about them in a Native American video. Skinwalkers in Native American folklore is all about not trusting everyone. So even the voice of someone you think you might know, they have evil intentions, or a Skinwalker will mask your voice and shape and look. Everything about you, they will change to look like you, but there's a slight difference. And this is again on this. Don't go blindly following voices into the forest because you don't know what they are there, which is key, because at the end of the day, it's a no-brainer. Don't follow that. But going into Skinwalker, I think we'll cover a bit now. Skinwalker is a creature from Native American folklore which runs across America, mainly from the Navajo tribes, but there's cases of them further north, and that's of a witch doctor who's turned evil, turned to black magic or blood magic, and has become evil. And they in exchange for their soul and the good side of shamanism, they have taken evil. It's allowed them to take forms of different animals in different shapes and use that. But by doing that, they lose their soul, so they lose their humanity and become evil. Some people do it for power, some people do it for other reasons. We don't know. We don't know if they're true. Obviously, it's Native American folklore and this is folklore. But again, like the Skrugglorse we talked about, how they lure people away, like the Wendigo as well, by using your voice in the forest. All these things have connections to the forest. Now it comes from our ancestors of a deep-rooted fear of the forest. It's because even as a little kid, when you walk towards a forest, you straight away think, oh, or in the dark. If you've ever been in a forest at night, it's inherently spooky without it being anything. So that all comes into this. A lot of our folklore revolves around forests because of the spooky nature of them at night, of you can't see around trees. Some forests you can't see more than that in front of you. And that's built into these legends of the Wendigo, Skinwalker, the Leshy, and the Skrugglorse we talked today, and many more legends. We inherently use forests, mountains, rivers, seas as these bases of where our folklore comes from, because we can't explain it. We needed tales to tell people not to go in the woods, right, with young kids. Everything. We need tales to keep people safe, not wandering off into the forest is a massive one, especially in places like Scandinavia, Russia, across most of Europe, even in the UK. We have a thing called the Green Man, which is the exact same as a Leshen, to stop people, because before the 18th century, Britain was mainly forest. We had huge forests. They were all like agricultured and looked after, but Britain, before the Industrial Revolution, was a lot of forest, like most of Europe. So we needed these tales to stop us going into the forest, to stop people wandering off, because otherwise we'd all wander off. So this is where a lot of these folklore comes from. Obviously in America they took it at a different level because Native American tribes, same over here, folklore allows us to explain the unexplained. How we are going to explain with science, even in America now there's missing 401. If you want an interesting read, type in missing 411. There's a load of people go missing in forests in America. They can't explain that. So they call it missing 401 because they don't know. So throughout time, again, people go disappearing in forests all the time. So the build-up of folklore and spirits around the forest is major, because if you've ever been in a forest, you can easily get lost without knowing it. You can lose your bearing, basics of navigation, obviously having a point of following it. In a forest that's quite hard, because every tree looks the same. Unless you're looking for the minute detail where you're walking on a barren, you'll get lost. That's why they say keep on a path. And I think that's what a lot of this folklore is don't stray away from the path. Like, both of these are problems if you follow or listen to them. Like, follow them. That's basically telling you not to go off the path, which is key. And as we've said before in our other series, be a survivor. And on this, keep on the path. If you don't know where you're going, keep on the path. Even if you do, unless you have the kit, stay on the path. Because all these folklores are warning you is not to venture away from the path. And that's what a lot of forest folklore is about, is staying where you know, don't go too far, don't venture. Because remember, animals use forests. And for most countries around the world, we have bears, wolves. In the UK, we don't have any. But 14th century, before we had wolves in this country, a pack can jump a fully grown male and kill him. So it's all come from our inherent needs of staying as a group, not going too far, and not protecting ourselves. Okay, that's enough for this video today. I hope you guys really like this video. Obviously, we'll talk more about forests and folklore in the future. So please like and subscribe. I've been Michael. Keep venting.